In this full breakdown, I will show you how I exactly use ChatGPT, Lovable, and Figma to create complete brand systems in under 1 day. We will go from idea to execution using AI-powered tools in order to generate the brand brief using ChatGPT, instantly prototype a UI using Lovable, import and refine all of our UI in the full system inside Figma, and then finalize everything into a real usable brand kit. So let's do this. In the current AI era, I believe that the majority of designers use AI tools in isolation, meaning that they can probably grab some piece of information from ChatGPT and then do a couple of UIs with Lovable, but they never combine AI tools together. And I think whenever you try and connect these things strategically, you can deliver complete or almost complete solutions that can justify premium packaging as well. So without further ado, we're here now in ChatGPT, and in today's example, we're going to be working with a demo client, and the idea I have is working with a sustainable tech startup that is called EcoFlow. In our case, they basically need a brand system in order to understand how do they look in simple terms in, let's say, under 48 hours. So it's a tight deadline. This company, this startup really trusts us, and this is going to be our example, a tech sustainable startup. So basically here right now in ChatGPT, I'm going to paste a prompt that I prepared here in my list of prompts, which is basically going to give us a good foundation in terms of our brand. And we're going to have the core value proposition, the primary target audience, key differentiators, and the brand personality. So very simple, quick core brand elements that can help us in our later steps. The website strategy is going to help us with the UI stuff. The user journey is going to give us a more aligned and clear website flow in the later stages as well. So basically here, I'm just going to paste this prompt, which is a simple one, inside ChatGPT, and in the placeholder for business type, I'm just going to type for a sustainable tech startup called EcoFlow. This is a demo / dummy brand. So it's going to provide brand foundation, website strategy, a user journey, and let's click OK. So in this specific workflow, my idea is to basically introduce a more fast and lean way to quickly visualize brand identities in a more strategic way, because you're using AI, which is data-driven in a way, in the majority of its ways, basically. So you have a more defined look, feel, and functionality faster than you strategizing about every decision or iterating everything manually, etc., etc. So here is the integrated brand and web strategy prompt output, which is basically, here's our core value. EcoFlow helps conscious homeowners optimize their energy use with elegant AI-powered tech that lowers waste and increases control. Okay. So we have our demographics, urban homeowners, age 28 to 45. Key differentiators, we have real-time AI energy, enhanced, insights, design-first hardware, seamless smart integrations with anything that's renewable energy related. So we are smart, we are calm, and we are conscious. Makes sense. We have a simple homepage hero here and a user flow. So basically, this is a demonstration of us trying to simulate us as a designer having a huge list of nodes and data with a back and forth with your customer. And then this is what you get after even adding into something like ChatGPT. So in our case, we are simulating this, and this is what the brand came up with. This is what we did with the brand, let's say a workshop. So this is what we're going to use as our foundation in order to start creating more stuff about EcoFlow in terms of branding. Just to get a better idea of what the workflow is, let's imagine that the traditional workflow would be something like 2-3 days of a back and forth, which is natural and is expected in order to understand what the client wants. But after that, it would probably be 1 or even 2 weeks of you designing concepts, going on a back and forth for revisions and feedback. There's a lot of uncertainty probably in those sessions, a lot of anxiety from your end or from the client's end on, oh, that doesn't really look that finalized, so I'm very unsure if I like it or not. We've been in those situations. And a final delivery, which can even last for 2 to 3 days. The 3 tools that we're going to use is ChatGPT, Lovable, and Figma. We're going to use ChatGPT to basically, as you saw, create our brief or categorize all of the info that we have from our client into a more clean, structured way that's more aligned with the brand identity flow. Lovable, we're going to use it for rapid prototyping. We're going to build UI and UX there, and probably we can also generate some cool components that we can showcase alongside the website demo. And Figma, we're going to use Figma in order to basically bundle up everything there in the end, and also have a place where a future designer or a dev of this company can quickly join and adjust and edit anything from the core base, basically. So the ChatGPT strategy, as you saw, was simple. We got brand positioning, the website structure, the content strategy, all by just using one prompt. Of course, you can expand more on that, especially if you have a real client, and use more strategic prompts in each of those situations, or even add even more specific ones based on your strategic needs. So the integrated brand and web strategy that we have is that we basically created key information about our dummy brand, EcoFlow. We have a strategy, and now we are in Lovable. In Lovable, we're going to basically grab a text prompt that I prepared, and we're going to see if the first iteration of it is going to look cool or not. As you see, we're still not talking about very specific stuff like typography or colors. I want to leave a room for AI to see, have a more open-ended space to be more creative and see if it's going to bring some results that actually look good and work well. Without further ado, let's go back to ChatGPT for now and ask for a PDF of the brief in order to feed it to Lovable as well. I'm not sure if Lovable accepts PDF, but we'll see now. Export the info above as PDF, and let's say Markdown as well. Now that we have the brief in Markdown and PDF form, we're gonna jump into Lovable. Again, it helps if you have a premium account. I'm pretty sure that even a free account has some sort of standard credits that you get. So you can probably do work, but I highly suggest using Lovable, Bolt, whatever you like most in order to use it for rapid prototyping, basically. So here in the list of prompts, we're gonna grab the next one that I built. And we basically can also take this, drop it inside the ChatGPT chat that we just made, and we can also ask to fill out the info for us. So use the prompt that I pasted above. Whenever you see brackets. So basically fill out all the info about EcoFlow whenever you see the brackets like conversion objective, blah, blah. So let's see if that does a good work. Yep, it does. So we're gonna grab this now that we have the filled in prompt about what we need Lovable to build with a little bit of context. Let's open up the files and let's see if any of those two can be added. No, it only accepts images. That's weird. We can maybe probably, I'm not sure. I think it's okay. I think this prompt is gonna work perfectly. So let's hit run. And let's wait for a couple of seconds. So we are waiting basically for a functional website. And the goal is to test a primal branding and aesthetic visual design and an interface just to get an idea of how EcoFlow can look like. as I said before, it's all about rapid iteration. We have the ability to make changes quick, even if a customer wants it as well at the end. So it's way easier and way faster to test stuff. And you can also prove that your concept works perfectly, your brand identity works perfectly, your aesthetic matches XYZ goal or XYZ principle that you follow. So it's overall a very nice way and a very nice, even extra, whenever you want to build brand systems or a brand identity for somebody. Let's give it a couple of more seconds and we'll be right back. So in a more traditional flow, in this case, whenever we had some sort of brief, we'll probably just jump right into mood boards or exploring what other brands do, etc., etc. In our case, the goal is to basically use Lovable and start from a mid-fi, somebody would say, level, and that gives us some sort of look into the future in order to minimize any ideas that would probably not look that well. So here we are with the result. Let's hit refresh as well. As you can see, it has a nice smooth animation. I'm gonna be honest, I don't love green. It's green is fake ecology to me in a way. But I have to admit that color balance wise, everything is very clean. I love all of the sections. There's probably kind of a lot of copy some areas, but I can understand this. But this is pretty damn good for a starting prompt. Energy Star certified. It has a lot of details that you would see in an actual eco-related. So as you can see, everything is pretty much functional in terms of states. You can type stuff, you can message, you cannot message people, but you can click the buttons, you can get states and all that. So it's pretty much a good landing page demo. In our case, I'm not really a huge fan of green. So what I want to do is, first of all, ask Lovable in a chat ideas for a more unique color scheme that still sticks to something that you would see in an eco renewable energy related brand. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to manually type something and I'll be back. So I turned on the chat mode and what I typed is, I'm not a big fan of the green color scheme. It screams fake ecology. Suggest a more unique color palette that still aligns with the brand identity of EcoFlow but provides a more distinct look. Make sure you provide the light dark theme adaptation. Design system. And ensure positive contrast ratios for background, foreground, text elements, and any other elements. I'm using chat just in order to not waste tokens and not have AI do changes that I don't want to see. I just want suggestions, and I want to see if those suggestions can work well, and the ability to also probably introduce a light and dark mode as well. So you're absolutely right. Of course, yeah, you're always right. Let's see, deep ocean blue and warm amber. Let's let it load. Okay, that's perfect. So we have, let's go up. Here we are. Deep ocean blue and warm amber, midnight purple and electric cyan, charcoal and copper, which is the recommendation from Lovable. I mean, it's too industrial to be honest. And charcoal, I don't think that's the best color for an eco-friendly brand. I kind of like deep ocean blue and warm amber. There's a very distinct contrast between them, but I get the whole energy part about it. But to be honest, I would go with option number 2, just because it's a more unique one. So I don't know, let's see. I like option number 2. I'm just gonna state that to not get confused. So probably now Lovable is gonna introduce a dark theme for this as well. And all you have to do is click implement the plan pretty soon so that we can see what the next version is gonna be. So we're gonna have a light theme design. As you can see, we have all the color codes. So I'm very excited to see how it's going to look like. Same with dark theme, gradient upgrades, contrast verifications, and component integrations. Okay, so now let's toggle off the chat mode and let's click on implement the plan. We'll give it a couple of seconds. I'm actually very impressed with the first look. Let's see, let's scroll down. Yeah, I'm actually very satisfied. I'm not a huge fan of the gradient, so this is definitely something that I want to change. And I'm also not seeing a toggle off button. Okay, great work. Let's add the dark light theme toggle on the top right of the navbar. Let's remove the gradient logic from buttons and introduce a solid color approach to primary button styles. As before, ensure positive contrast ratios. Yep, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's see if we can see a toggle probably somewhere right over there and some different buttons. I just don't like gradients, especially in that cheap way. But everything else about the website is nice. I don't know. Even the mobile looks good. We know probably need the hamburger menu here if it was an actual website. Some icons here for sure. A working subscribe to the newsletter, working live chat, of course. That's interesting. This is a different button. Probably it started to change some buttons. Yeah, that's awesome. So a few buttons changed, a few haven't. This is not a big deal. It's very fixable. The dark theme looks good in certain areas. I think we're in a great spot. So not all buttons have been properly updated. Introduce a full-on button swap or improvement, and focus on providing solid styles for all button variants. Improve the dark mode look. Ensure proper contrast ratios. We need positive scores. Yeah. The good news is that the majority of components have been properly aligned with the new system, except a couple of differences. That tells me that those buttons are part of the component, not part of our button system. This is something that it tends to happen sometimes. So in our case, make sure that all of our components and models are using buttons from our established button system. I still see relics of the old gradient button. Fully examine the website and fix those errors. Apart from that, I believe that the dark mode button looks cool. Yeah, for starters, I think it looks cool. I wouldn't change much. But yeah, I think this is not a button as a component. It's just built to look like a button in this case. So this is what we're trying to fix right now. So now that we have a living prototype, it's basically time to extract the best components of this landing page in both light and dark theme and find the best possible way to add them to Figma and make them editable. And that's where a plugin that I like to use called HTML to Figma works really well with that. Before we do that though, it's very important to basically use Lovable as much as possible here and also try our best to extract a foundation for our branding system. So what we can do now, as you can see, the landing page looks and works perfectly. We have states, have different buttons, we have heroes, we have cards that basically talk about the brand, we have stats and all that. We have an area where you can contact the company. We also have the dark mode, which works and looks really well. So we have all that, which is nice. What we need now is to basically, since we like what we see and it's aligned with the idea that we have about EcoFlow, we can go here on the top left, go to the settings of this project and click on Remix, just in order to have a backup before you do any major changes like we're about to do now. We're basically trying to build the design system inside Lovable. So it's good to have a backup. You can always use the restore last session, as you can see here, but it's always good to have a solid backup. So now let's go back to our text edit, and we're basically gonna grab number 3 here, which basically says the following. Now that we have the website prototype, so now that we have the website prototype for EcoFlow, we need to extract it into a systematic Figma component library. So help me organize atomic elements, molecular components, organism structures. This is basically a way of structuring your components based on Airbnb's style. So you basically start small and you start building your components. It's a very self-explanatory style, and I'm sure everybody knows it. And template layouts, page structures. The design tokens that we need here is basically Lovable trying to extracting all the data that it built and giving it us in a clean form. So we need color palette, the typography that we used, spacing system, border radiuses, and stuff. All of that, after you have done adjusting, let's say, the border radius, you might not like it, or maybe the client doesn't like it. So you maybe in your end need a couple of iterations, but in our example, and I'm honestly very satisfied with what I see. So if I had the idea of EcoFlow being purple, I would stick to that as a base. So we need a couple of components, of course, buttons, input fields, cards, navigation states, and naming conventions. Naming conventions is, I guess, it really depends on whatever your development team might be using or whatever tool stack you're using and whatever translates well. So I don't know what they're gonna come up with in this specific scenario, so we'll see. It's not really important, but the documentation for usage guidelines, that would be pretty cool, just to have a base. So let's see if Lovable can provide a systematic approach for this, because I don't think it's gonna do this in one prompt. But let's see, who knows? We have an error. That is perfect. So let's click again. Okay, it worked. Yeah, it did. Nice. Lovable successfully created a very structured approach to what we want to see. The naming convention is very simple, actually, as well as the atomic elements. So I'm happy about what I see here. We have the correct colors. Everything looks correct. And Lovable basically suggests the following. Let's start with the design tokens. Let's extract all colors, typography, and spacing values first. Then let's build the atomic components, molecules, organisms. Let's create templates, and then document everything. Okay, I think that sounds like a very long, lengthy way. I'm gonna cut this. Okay, this sounds cool. I guess we can probably start with design tokens for sure. So let's say start with design tokens. Create a new branding system page where you will start building all the necessary sections or sub pages for this task. So we definitely need design tokens, atomic components, molecules, and organisms. The template part, I'm not sure. Define page level layouts and structures. I'm not sure that we need this right now. Document everything part. Yeah, it's cool to add guidelines. Let's keep them lean. Let's keep them light. Stick to only necessary wording when it comes to guidelines. Establish governance, set up processes for updates and maintenance. No, not for now. No, establish governance for now. And no examples, I would say, for its components. No examples. Focus on showcasing all the different states a component possibly has. I think that's good. Let's hit OK, and let's see what the next step from Lovable. Okay, I'm back. I was having a network issue. So as I mentioned before, what we need now is to start with a design tokens page. So we need to create a branding system page, keep it light, focus on examining the current page basically, and extracting all the necessary data to form a brand identity. This is the goal. Let's hope that it works now and it doesn't bug. Working. I think it's gonna work now. It took me a couple of minutes. I think I was having a network issue. Amazing. Awesome. So I'll give it a couple of seconds and I'll be right back with the results. The results are very exciting. I also asked for a navbar element to be added so that we can see it here as well. So if we click on design system, you can see that it starts with colors and it gives a very, very nice kind of card element that showcases the colors. If you switch to the light theme, the colors change as well. We probably need the hex codes here. So this is something that we definitely have to add. The typography tokens, I love them. They look very nice. I believe this is just a interfont, so we can definitely use a couple of prompts to come up with a more unique type combo as well. We can test this out immediately. We have spacing tokens, component spacing, best practices, a couple of border radiuses that we use, shadows. This can definitely be displayed better. You can also remove it for now. It's up to you. You showcase here, you can showcase some unique components, so we can probably remove this as a section. The animation section is nice, but it doesn't really showcase much, just a couple of data. So I'll probably remove that as well. And so we need to remove this for now, the glass effect and the shadows. And also I'm gonna construct a prompt that includes that, and also add hex codes for each color, and also make sure that whenever I switch the theme, the hex code also matches the color that I see each time. So this is what I'm basically gonna craft right now. Yeah. So great start. For each color presented, I need to also have the hex code. Also make sure that the hex codes are updated dynamically upon color switch to match each color correctly. It's upon theme switch. Remove animation section, remove glass effects section, remove shadows section. Let's hit send. While also asking for hex codes and to remove the certain sections that we discussed about, I also asked for Lovable, not ChatGPT, to basically introduce a better structure here in the cards of the colors. So we have the hex value, the RGB value, excuse me, and the HSL value. And of course, we have the token for each of the colors, for example, destructive, pop over, foreground, and of course, it's dynamic. So whenever you switch themes, the color gets switched as well. Apart from that, I want to see a better font duo. So let's do that and see how Lovable can translate that. I would suggest going to Google Fonts simply because they just work very well. And to be honest, there is a good variety. I would choose something that's probably calm from the filters. I guess maybe something that's Let's stick to calm and let's see what the options are. To be honest, funnel sounds looks nice, so I'll keep it. Accent, I love how it looks, honestly. You know what? We can probably, let's see. I'm not trying to rush things. I'm just aware of certain fonts and I like them. Honest is a nice one, probably. I love how round everything looks. It goes with the whole idea of flow. You know what? We're going with honest and then Inter as our secondary font. So, done. Let's copy the link. So let's say I want to use honest as my main font and Inter as my body font. Adjustments to our branding system and the branding system showcase page. So now what we expect to see is these fonts changing to honest. Let's see. As you can see, we have the font changes. I'm not sure if, oh, it did, nice. It also changed the font in the landing page as well, as you can see, which is amazing. So let's go back to the design system. As you can see, I wrote something in Lovable. Same with the cards. I would prefer a more structured way of introducing the data here. Same with the cards. And I also believe that you need to showcase what the font is each time. So that's what I'm expecting from this prompt. So we have the updated cards. I am satisfied with the result, but overall, I believe that we can push this one step further before we jump to Figma, at least for now. So what I'm gonna do is go back to chat and say something like suggest ways that we can refine the UI even more while respecting our current brand identity, design system, aesthetic, and guidelines. So overall, so far, what we are doing actively is building a design system without even having to discover anything. And of course, even in a real scenario, you will probably just waste a couple of more minutes adjusting things for sure. You might even want to drop this into something like Windsurf or Klein. I can show you that so you can adjust it even further and post this live via GitHub, etc., etc. But so far, I actually like what I see. There's definitely room for improvement, of course. So we can have color accessibility indicators to our color system. That's good. Color use as contest. Color relationship. Not really. I wouldn't use that now. So not keep. Reading experience, interactive states, component tokens. I feel like it only mentions the design system. I'm talking about a UI refinement, not just about the design system showcase page, then about the actual design system. So let's see. So subtle micro interactions, enhanced glass morphism, improved balance states, card elevation system, better text contrast ratios, that's important. Improved reading experience, yep, that is also important and also needs to align with our spacing system. Smart typography, scaling, yep, that is also important. Keyboard navigation, no, I wouldn't want that. It's unnecessary. Let's not keep. I like the rest of the ideas. Just focus on an effective refinement of the UI to see an improved, cleaner, elevated results. So let's see the full UI refinement in its full glory. I'm gonna open up a new tab. Let's minimize myself as well. Let's hit refresh. Awesome, smart and energy, beautifully managed. It's fun. So as we scroll down, we see a couple of info about what the brand is about, blah, blah, blah. Chat with us, everything looks fine. This button looks kind of off, we can fix that. Same with light theme, everything looks perfect. Let's go to our design system. I now have the ability to also copy probably the hex color. Oh, nice, I can also copy every single value. That is amazing. Yep, everything is laid out perfectly. Typography tokens, display. This is amazing. Yeah, I'm actually very impressed by how everything is laid out. Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing actually. Probably the shadows in the dark theme might need some tweaking manually or with something like Windsurf or Klein. But for the most part, I actually really love everything about it. Are the sizes correct as well? Yeah, they seem to be correct. This is insane. I'm very satisfied. So now that we actually have a scenario, something that we're interested in keeping in terms of aesthetic, in terms of how it looks, how it works, how it feels, and if we disregard copy. Now it's time for basically our plugin HTML to Figma to shine and then lay everything nicely inside a Figma file where we can then manually adjust stuff. And I can also show you how to do tweaks and changes with something like Windsurf or Klein. And then in the end, how you can push this live and have a demo version for a client whenever you need to basically prepare and showcase your brand, your branding ideas. Yeah, without further ado, let's just do that. Let's go. So this is a plugin. It's called HTML to Design. In our case, it's HTML to Figma. It converts any website into fully editable Figma designs. It's a very neat app and it's very easy to use. I am using the Pro version. I'm pretty sure that you have a lot of website imports that you can do in order to get actual editable Figma components. I suggest getting the Pro version. I think it's a very affordable subscription. I don't remember the amount, but yeah, it's up to you, honestly. But you do have a lot of free trials that you can do. So now what I want to do is, I do not have the plugin here, I probably have it in another browser. So let me grab this URL. As you can see here, this is where the Chrome extension is. You can choose in which width you want this exported. I'm choosing 1440. I think it's a common standard width to use. We want this saved as an H2D file. We're gonna choose browser theme for now because I'm gonna grab both the light and the dark version of it, as well as the design system. So we just need to click capture current page and also do the same for the design system. So back to the plugin, HTML to design, capture current page. Now we'll just do the same process for our light theme as well. Now we are on a brand new Figma file. Assuming you have downloaded the plugin, you will see it in your plugins and widgets tab. In our case, it's right here. And all we need to do is wait for the plugin to load and drag and drop our H2D files in this area. So here are my H2D files, the landing page and the design system page for both light and dark themes. So now what's good to do is, if you have the Pro version available, use auto layout and also create local styles and variables and components for the hover over effects. This can give us a massive speed up and a boost in componentization and understanding how Lovable laid out all of our components, if they even make sense, where changes needed, etc., etc. So it's a very nice thing that you can do. The thing is that I suggest you toggle it once, or once for the light theme and one for the dark theme, because if you toggle it for each single page, it will just generate every single thing, which can also be beneficial if any components do not exist in one of the pages. There's definitely a cleanup that you need to do, but you have components basically ready to go for you. So I'm gonna click go. As you can see, the page just appears and it's fully editable. It's actually pretty sick. Boom, we are ready to go. So now what we managed to do is basically grab our live version of the current Lovable website and bring this inside Figma in a fully adjustable way. As you can see, it tries its best to create smart layouts. You will understand pretty immediately that it doesn't do its best job, but it's a good start, and you can, of course, you always need to add manual input and manual adjustments. At the end of the day, it's our brand identity. This is an example. But so far, even if it's an example, it works very well. As you can see, here's the option to have the components laid out for you. Does it do the greatest job? No. Is it a nice start for you to build the system side by side or use this as a foundation? Yeah, 100%. Especially here in the pages like the design system, you can see that everything is laid out very well. There are a couple of minor issues. For example, I feel like this should have, I'm missing something. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. It feels like it has some sort of a gradient effect, kind of intentionally. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Let's ungroup this as well. Let's see if everything looks cool. Yeah, everything looks as it was. So, for instance, here, you can see that this is kind of unnecessary to exist in such volume. So that's an instance where it doesn't really do a great job. Here as well, kind of a node structure, or maybe it works. It really is up to you, but it gives you a nice visual with each element. It tries its best. I think it's a great start. And now basically that you have a fully editable version of this brand, in our case, our dummy brand called EcoFlow, you can basically just start building your pages. You can say that, look, this is the work area. Here is where, let's say that EcoFlow already has a logo and they were asking for a 48 brand refresh. So in this case, you can start building a typical logo showcase with guidelines. Or if you're really interested, we can also do a full-on how to build a logo using AI in a day, super fast. This can be done as well. For example, our next page can be something like color tokens. And you can start introducing, let's say, this page, but since you are a Figma designer, you can just start messing with it, start making it look more something like a presentation or a Figma actual frame. So you can just start splitting stuff, introducing it in a nicer way, adding your own twist to it. So it really is just a playground for you to start adjusting your ideas and how you view this brand that you're trying to build without having to reinvent everything and start from zero. So it is actually sick. So now let's say that you want to have a live version. You're satisfied with what you see here as Lovable's attempt to basically bring this brand to life. If you want a live version of it, my flow is using Lovable, my GitHub page, in order to basically connect those two and have a repository. And then I use something called Netlify in order to host my demo page. And it's actually very easy to use. All you need to actually have is a GitHub account. And this is something that's very easy to do. You go to GitHub, you sign up. There are a ton of ways you can sign up, and then you are able to create your own repositories. If you're not very familiar with GitHub, it's a very easy thing to understand once you just put a little search into it, but I'm very happy to reply to any of your questions if you have any. So let's assume that you do have GitHub, you just signed up, you verified your account, you're ready to create repositories. All you need to do in Lovable is to hit publish, and then it will say publish your project to make it visible to others on the internet, and you will say, yep, publish it. And now that the project has been updated, you can see that there is a live version of it. Boom. So this live version, I got caught up into Lovable thing, is basically also connected to our GitHub account. In my case, I connected my GitHub account with Lovable. So now that we have a live version, we can click on the GitHub icon here and connect to GitHub as well. It probably is gonna prompt you to connect if you're not connected already. You hit connect, here's my username, and give it a couple of seconds. Now, our project is connected to a GitHub repository that is private, and here's the link of it. So now, if you are savvy enough and you understand AI no-code tools like Windsurf or Client, or you are an actual developer and you can bring this to an even more elevated state, which is something that's if you are a dev or somebody that knows. All you need to do is basically open Visual Studio Code. That's what I use in order to edit code alongside AI tools. I just type Windsurf, yeah. I wasn't sure why it didn't pop up. So now that I'm in Windsurf, which is basically VS Code, I'm gonna click on Clone Repository, and I'm gonna bring my repository, EcoFlow, here in order to edit it. So Windsurf basically has an AI assistant here. Oops, Client opened up as well. We're gonna use Windsurf and Cascade. So first things first, we need a local live preview of our website. And let's imagine that we need to do some minor adjustments. Let's say that we don't like, actually we'll see. We'll see after the preview. I'm gonna do a couple of minor changes with the help of Cascade. And then we're gonna push this change with the help of AI once again back on our GitHub repo. And then from there, I'll show you how to use Netlify with basically 2 clicks, assuming you have everything in GitHub correctly set up. And then you can have a live version of your website that you can adjust anytime you want. So now we are basically installing a couple of dependencies. That's very fair. Let's open up the terminal here as well. Just have a look. We'll probably be soon very, very ready. This is just an extra in case you want to be more manual with it and dive deeper and actually refine the brand even more. As you can see, it's still pretty fast. Nothing changes really from the actual workflow. So here's the browser preview. As you can see, it's the same thing that we were seeing in the other live page as well. Let's say that, as I said before, this button is messed up. So I will grab the send element button, bring this here, and say to Cascade something like the switch theme toggle is not really visible on light and dark mode as well. Make sure that it aligns with the current design system and that the contrast ratios are positive and aligned with the rest of the components. So in our case, we need to do this minor fix and then republish everything and have the live actual demo of the website that we can instantly edit. So the other tool that we need to use is Netlify. Again, everybody has their own way of hosting websites. To me, this is an easy way, at least for a beginner, to quickly host demo websites and have something to showcase to a client. So we are going to add a new project, assuming that you have an account as well, and I'm pretty sure that you can connect with GitHub on Netlify. So we're going on projects, add a new project, import an existing project, and we're going to choose GitHub in our case. As you can see, it's gonna load. I don't remember the name of the repo actually. So EcoFlow Zenith, okay? EcoFlow, it's probably gonna pop up. Yeah, EcoFlow Zenith. So in our case, let's name it EcoFlow Demo. It's gonna have a .netlify.app domain name. Again, it's a demo, so it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't be a branded thing. And all we have to do is click deploy. And this is gonna bring us to a live version that is not the same as the Lovable one that we just did. Again, the first one was just if you actually liked what you saw on Lovable, you can just publish this and have it live and actually showcase it as a demo. Here, we have a more manual approach where you are more savvy with tools like Klein, Windsurf, for you're an actual skilled developer and you can refine it more. So as you can see, we have a live version of the app. There are things that we need to that you need to be mindful of. For example, the favicon, it shouldn't be lovable. You should also ask or manually remove anything that's related to Lovable in the back end as well. That's also necessary. As you can see, everything is live and it works. The problem remains because we haven't pushed any changes yet. So if we go back on Windsurf, as you can see, here in the local version, we managed to have a better result. To be honest, it's not what I want, but in our example, let's say that we like it. So we're accepting the changes, and then we will say that nice work. Let's push our changes to our GitHub repo. And then all we have to do is grab the repo's URL. Let's go back to Lovable. 1 second. Let's go back to Lovable. Let's bring GitHub. Here is the tool. Oh, I have to sign in. Okay. So here's the URL. I'm grabbing this. Let's go back to Windsurf. Boom. Now, Windsurf is going to suggest a couple of series of commands that you basically will see here. Yep, git status. You have to accept basically a couple of git commands in order to sync with the repo, see what the status of the repo is, and then add all of your new outdated files and commit the changes and push them, basically. So now let's push the changes to the GitHub repository, and everything looks successful. So if we go back to Netlify now, we will see here in our dashboard that the new stage is building, which means that the changes have been pushed to GitHub. And to our surprise, we made it. The new updates are published. In our scenario, let's say that EcoFlow wanted some changes. That's what we did. We basically just jumped into Windsurf for our AI tool. We made all necessary changes, and with 2 clicks, we pushed back to GitHub and aka to our live website version. And as you can see, if I click here, the button is now updated and has a new look. Simple as that. So this is pretty much it. In basically under an hour, we managed to have a full overview of a branding system that works, that respects a lot of the branding guidelines, a lot of principles in UI UX. Of course, this is a demo example. You would definitely need to do more refinement, more AI assisted and manual work for a real client. But again, the margins that we are cutting here are insane when it comes to speed, when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to understanding a brand, with a very unique and new perspective that you didn't just have access to before. So yeah, jumping to a more refined UI and then using that as your base to understand the brand better and use those UI elements to build your Figma files. And then if you want to dive deeper, manually refine them with other AI tools like Windsurf. And you basically have, in under an hour, a brand system that you can refine completely in like not even a matter of a week if you want to be realistic with that. It's already done. And you also have a live version of a website that you can refine even further, and you can share actively with your client and work on this live instead of transferring documents and logos and, oh, is this PNG? Oh, is this SVG? I don't see anything in the background. Oh, it's because it's white, blah, blah, blah. Here you have everything laid out as easy as possible. So yeah, I think it's an amazing workflow. Just to recap and to basically see where we left off in here, we basically now are able to create a Figma system where we have the HTML to Figma import, component creation, design token setup, as I mentioned. And you basically have, I'm not sure if it was 38 minutes. I was very optimistic while I was creating the slides, but it's definitely a better total than a 2-3 week traditional route of actually discovering how a 10% of the brand would look like. Not even talking about landing pages. You have a functional website that you can showcase as how the brand actively looks like and works like, and also a brand system with Figma components and tokens. So this is basically like saying, have a $500 logo solution that goes to a $5,000 overall brand solution. You have one traditional single deliverable that you now can 10 times enhance. You now have the power to basically visualize how a brand would look like. If you're a designer that wants to utilize AI to get paid and noticed more, then click the link in the description below and book a discovery call with me. I'm currently building workflows and testing tools in order to further enhance the branding process. So hearing from you, your ideas, your pain points, or anything else can really help me out produce the perfect videos, courses, and resources for you guys. My ultimate goal is to establish a private community where I will lay out all of the greatest workflows to achieve amazing brand results in just days, not months, not years. So please, if you are serious about your design practice and you want to take it to the next level utilizing AI, book a call by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you so much.